There's a quiet question many believers carry for years, sometimes without ever saying it out loud. It doesn't sound dramatic, it doesn't come with panic or urgency, it usually appears late at night, or during a calm moment when life is otherwise steady. How will I know when it's really the right person? Not just someone you love, not just someone who loves God, but the person you're meant to build a life with. Most people don't ask this question because they're impatient, they ask it because they're afraid of misreading God. Afraid of mistaking chemistry for confirmation. Afraid of forcing meaning onto feelings, afraid of choosing someone sincerely, only to realize later they were wrong. And if you've been waiting for a while, the question changes shape. At first, it sounds hopeful, then it becomes cautious, and eventually, for many people, it becomes quiet and heavy. You still believe God leads, you still pray, but you're no longer sure what clarity is supposed to feel like. That tension, the waiting, the wondering, the second guessing, is where this conversation begins. Not with signs, not with formulas, but with honesty. The waiting that shapes you more than you expect. Waiting for a marriage partner isn't just about time passing. It does something to your inner life. At first, waiting feels active. You're learning, growing, preparing. You believe clarity will come suddenly, like a moment when everything clicks. But over time, waiting becomes quieter. You stop talking about it as much. You still hope. But you've learned how to carry that hope gently, without letting it run your life. This is where many believers feel confused. Because culturally, we're taught that waiting is passive. Spiritually, we're often taught that waiting is obedience. Emotionally, it can feel like neither. Scripture speaks honestly about this tension. Psalm 27 verse 14 says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." That verse isn't romantic, it doesn't promise speed, it doesn't promise certainty. It acknowledges that waiting requires strength, because waiting stretches you. If you're in a season where you've stopped asking God when and started asking how to stay faithful while you wait, you're not behind, you're being formed. And that formation matters more to recognizing the right partner than most people realize. A common misunderstanding about God's choice. Many believers carry an unspoken assumption: if someone is my destined partner, the path toward them will feel effortless. The conversations will flow. The timing will align. The peace will be instant and uninterrupted, but Scripture doesn't support that idea. God's will is often revealed through clarity, not ease. Peace in Scripture is not emotional excitement, it's not the absence of questions, it's the absence of inner contradiction. Colossians 3 verse 15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." The word rule there means to govern, to act as an umpire. Peace doesn't shout. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't pressure you, it quietly settles disputes inside you. Many people mistake intensity for confirmation and calm for indifference. But often, it's the opposite. Intensity can come from desire, fear, or longing. Peace comes from alignment, and alignment usually feels steady, not dramatic. Attraction isn't the same as recognition. There's nothing wrong with attraction, God created it. It matters. It draws people together. But attraction is not how you recognize a destined marriage partner. Attraction focuses your attention outward. Recognition turns your attention inward. When you're with the right person, something subtle happens inside you. You don't feel the need to perform. You don't feel pressure to become someone else. You don't feel like you're auditioning for acceptance. Instead, your spirit settles. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing feels false. 2 Corinthians 13 verse 11 speaks of this kind of inner harmony. Aim for perfection, listen to my appeal, be of one mind, live in peace. Unity doesn't start after marriage. It begins in how two people meet each other honestly. A destined partner doesn't complete you. They meet you where you are becoming whole. The quiet test most people ignore. Here's something many people don't think to reflect on: who are you becoming while you're with them? Not how you feel in the moment. Not how excited you are about the future. But who you are becoming emotionally, spiritually, relationally. Do you grow more patient, or more anxious? More grounded, or more uncertain? More honest, or more guarded? Jesus said in Matthew 7 verse 17, "Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit." Fruit takes time to observe. You don't measure it in a week. You notice it over seasons. The right relationship produces fruit quietly. Greater emotional clarity. Deeper respect for boundaries. More consistency in your walk with God, not perfection, but direction. If a relationship consistently pulls you away from peace, integrity, and truth, even if it feels powerful, that's worth paying attention to. When prayer becomes more honest than certain. Many believers struggle with this. They pray faithfully. They seek God sincerely. But they don't receive the kind of clear answer they expected. So they wonder, am I doing something wrong? Often, what's happening isn't silence. It's refinement. Romans 12 verse 2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is." Notice the order: transformation comes first. Clarity follows. God often shapes your discernment before He clarifies your direction. That's why recognition doesn't usually come as a voice from heaven. It comes as wisdom that has matured quietly inside you. A gentle correction that brings relief. Here's a truth that brings relief to many people once they finally accept it. God does not hide your marriage partner like a test you can fail. He is not waiting for you to misstep so he can withdraw his will. Psalm 32 verse 8 says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go, I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." A loving eye doesn't watch for mistakes. It guides with care. If you're sincerely seeking God, growing in wisdom, and walking in integrity, you are not one wrong decision away from ruining your life. Destiny in Scripture is relational, not fragile. How peace actually shows up. Peace doesn't always arrive before the decision. Sometimes it follows obedience. Sometimes it grows gradually as trust deepens. Many people expect peace to feel like certainty. But often, peace feels like permission to move forward without fear. You may still have questions. You may still feel humility about the unknown. But you're no longer battling yourself inside. James 3 verse 17 describes godly wisdom this way. The wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure. Then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit. Notice how relational that wisdom is. It doesn't dominate. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand certainty before trust. The role of time in recognition. Recognition unfolds. It's not always instant. It's not always dramatic. Often, you look back and realize, clarity came quietly. Through consistency. Through shared values. Through how conflict was handled. Through how growth was supported, not threatened. A destined marriage partner doesn't remove struggle. They help you face it with honesty and grace. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." Not rush time. Not force time, it's time. It's worth reflecting on a few questions, not to judge, but to notice. When you imagine a future with this person, do you feel grounded or tense? Do you feel free to grow, or afraid to change? Do you pray with clarity, or confusion? You may notice patterns. You may notice peace where you expected anxiety, or resistance where you expected excitement. Pay attention without panic. God often speaks through awareness long before certainty. Recognizing your destined marriage partner is less about decoding signs, and more about becoming the kind of person who can discern wisely. God is not in a hurry. And He is not withholding clarity to punish you. As you grow in truth, peace, and maturity, recognition becomes less mysterious. Not because life becomes predictable, but because your spirit becomes steady. If this reflection resonated with you, you're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments. especially if you're in a season of waiting or discernment. And if you know someone quietly wrestling with this question, feel free to share this with them. If you'd like to continue these kinds of grounded, faith-centered conversations, you're welcome to subscribe, at your own pace. Clarity unfolds. Trust grows. And God remains faithful, through every season of becoming.